Today, we're answering the question, what happens when you take high-end European guitar design and offer it at an absolute rock-bottom price? Is it possible to retain the magic, or are there just too many corners to be cut to keep the price down? Let's find out. My name's Jennison, and I'm thinking about guitar. And today, the guitar in question is the Carve from Baum's new super affordable Vega line of guitars. Now, this represents the most affordable range of Baum guitars ever made, and this instrument, at the time of recording, comes in at a staggering 669 GBP. Of course, prices are subject to change. However, this is also something that Baum are offering as part of their unique direct-to-customer sales model, where you can pre-order and pay in installments. Your guitar will be built, and when it's ready for you, you can either pay the rest off or you can keep on the payment plan and essentially get the guitar for what amounts to a very small amount of money each month, which is exactly what I did for my Baum Backwing, which you will have seen in a bunch of the videos that we've done on this channel. It's a great guitar, love it to death. This guitar is cut very much from the same cloth and feels very similar, albeit it's a little bit shoutier, a little bit louder, and a bit more rock and roll, thanks to these Gold Sound Ember P90s. Now, I measured these at 7.3 and 9.1K respectively, which is a very muscular output. These hit the front end of an amp really hard, but they still have enough clarity and enough brightness and balance to perform very well in clean settings, which we'll explore in just a moment. Now, some other appointments that keep the price down here are things like more standard hardware, like a more standard set of tuners and a Tune-o-matic style bridge, as opposed to the roller bridge that we see on the more expensive Baum models. This guitar really doesn't suffer from these, I guess you could call them downgrades, but they don't affect the performance, so perhaps cross grades is a better way of thinking about it. It also comes with all of the standard Baum appointments, like a roasted maple neck, these beautiful inlays, strap locks as standard, and of course, our favorite thing about Baum guitars, which is this beautiful mid-century inspired European design. We'll talk all about the spec in just a second, but before we do, let's listen to this guitar in a bunch of style-specific tone examples. So now we've heard the Carve played in a variety of settings, let's talk more about the specifications, and we're going to begin at this very, very attractive headstock. So the Carve features Baum's Scepter headstock design, which is of course taken from their Scepter guitar. It's one of the more understated headstock designs in the Baum range, and it's a personal favourite of mine, although I think Baum do headstocks very, very well, which is an unusually difficult thing to get right. We also have the Carve logo on the front. This one is a prototype that says core model. Now the production models won't have this core model text on there, but that's about the only change that we're seeing from this model versus the ones that you're going to be able to pre-order at the time that this video is live. I'll flip it over and show you the back at the headstock where we can get a good look at the tuners. These are Baum branded tuners, but they're fairly standard. They don't need to be anything fancy on a guitar like this. We don't need locking tuners or anything like that. We just need rock solid tuners like these. They're 18:1 ratio, which is going to ensure smooth tuning operation and accurate tuning, which has definitely been my experience when using this guitar so far. Now, taking a look at the roasted maple neck, we have a large volute right here behind the nut, which is going to ensure the neck is stable and isn't going to break because it is a headstock back design. This is something we could see some other brands stand to implement, all I'm saying. The neck itself is very slim and feels really fast, but it's kind of a round C profile, which also means it's really good for getting your thumb over if you're that kind of player. Myself, I don't do a great deal of thumb over playing, but when I tried on this guitar, it feels super, super comfy and natural, but it's also great for the shred stuff. So a very versatile neck profile there. And we also have 22 medium jumbo frets, which to my mind, or certainly to my hand at least, are larger than the ones found on my Backwing, and I think this is a bit of an upgrade for me because I felt those frets were just a tiny bit too small. These ones are absolutely on the money. It's a very comfortable modern profile, which is going to ensure an easy, comfortable playing experience, especially if you're playing fast lines or you're doing a lot of bends, but it's not so large as to be alienating to players who are used to a vintage profile or perhaps have a tighter grip and are prone to bending notes out of tune by pressing too hard. It's very much in the sweet spot as far as the fret profile goes. We also have these beautiful Baum inlays. I'm a big fan of these. Again, I love that mid-century design aesthetic, which leads us neatly to the neck join. Now this is another nice touch where we have this offset 4-bolt neck join. Now typically this kind of guitar is a set neck design, but as you will know, Baum guitars tend to be bolt-on instruments, especially with this guitar being a 25.5-inch scale. It kind of gives you the best of both worlds. You get a little bit of that G style DNA and a little bit of that F style DNA too. And as you can see, there's nothing else going on the back of the body. There's no through body stringing, which gives us an excuse to talk about the body itself, which is a really classic, slightly offset take on the SG platform. But unlike those kinds of guitars that this instrument is based on, this guitar balances beautifully well. There's no neck dive. It balances perfectly on this leg. It balances equally perfectly on this leg. It feels great on a strap. It's not going to fall over when you're standing up, which is highly annoying. It's something that puts me off SG type guitars. This is a kind of guitar that I've always wanted to own. Never bought one because the neck dive is so irritating, but this guitar, absolutely on the money. And it's quite lightweight. It's not super, super light. It's not going to fly away from you because it is a mahogany body, Now onto the hardware very quickly, and here we have Baum's Performer Tune-o-matic style bridge, as opposed to the Levitator roller bridge that we traditionally see on Baum guitars. Now I'm a big fan of that roller bridge, but it's something that will enable a Bigsby to stay in tune a little better. And as you can see, this guitar is a stop tailpiece design, so we really don't need that additional tuning stability, and that bridge is quite expensive to produce, whereas this is still a very rock solid bridge, but allows Baum to keep the price point down. I think that's a nice touch, and it's something that's going to intonate precisely. We all know how well a good tune-o-matic works. It's very, very easy to adjust as well, because we have thumb screw or screwdriver operation to raise or lower the action, although I felt no compulsion to do anything to this guitar setup because it is basically perfect out of the box. Now onto the pickups. Once again, we have these Gold Sound Ember P90s, which are very, very muscular sounding. You heard how great they sound in a variety of settings in the previous playing examples. Next, we're going to take a look at the 3 positions that are available to us, which are bridge, both pickups together, and the neck pickup on its own. We'll do it clean and we'll do it dirty, but we're also going to compare these sounds to my Baum Backwing, which features Baum's Gold Booker mini humbuckers. You'll be familiar with those pickups, I'm sure, if you're familiar with Baum guitars, but also if you're familiar with our videos, you will have heard those a bunch of times, I'm sure. This will serve to show you the difference in tone and the difference in output between the pickups on this guitar and the pickups on a more expensive Baum guitar. And admittedly, it's P90s versus mini humbuckers, but even still, it should illustrate a point. Let's take a listen to how that sounds. There you go, folks. That's been a look at the Carve from Baum's super affordable Vega series. This guitar is available for pre-order at the time of recording and comes in as staggering £669, which is just outrageous considering how much guitar you're getting. This very much rivals the more expensive Baum guitars that I've played, which are all absolutely excellent, might I point out, including my own Backwing, which I play all of the time. It rivals those guitars in terms of sound and in terms of playability, which is exactly what you want in a more affordable instrument, where Baum have essentially just taken away some of the luxuries, like the roller bridge, like the more fancy tuners, but they've retained the look, they've retained the playability, they've retained the tone. This is something of a bargain, and a guitar that I could see myself taking out on basically any gig. Let's say perhaps not a metal gig, but basically any gig apart from that. I could see myself using this instrument and being very satisfied. It sounds great, it plays great, it looks the absolute business in this vintage white, although other finishes are also available. This would probably be my first choice. I just think it looks absolutely tremendous. Once again, this is the Baum Carve from their Vega series of guitars. I think this is a huge success and is going to prove very, very popular, especially at the price point. My name is Jennison. I'm thinking about guitar. I'll see you again very soon.